held me in your arms and wiped away my tears. Not even in a million years can I ever repay you for what you've done for me. You were there when I felt that there was no place for me. You were there to show me how to truly believe in the miracle of creation, in the good and the bad. Oh, how I love you, Mom and Dad.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Outstanding Parents here at Huda TV. I'm Nazir bin Nasib, your host and also one of the founders of OutstandingMuslimParents.com. And alhamdulillah, this is the zone we encourage you to be outstanding. Okay? Because who wants to be average? Especially when we understand that average is nothing but the top of the bottom with the bottom of the top. So average is just not going to do for us, right? Well, alhamdulillah, today's episode is going to really enhance your confidant abilities. All right. Now, we know we have three very specific and main roles. One is that celebrity, basically the role model. Two is the confidant. All right. The one who really teaches our children how to read between the lines or puts them up on game, if you will. Three is, I never really said that puts them up on game. It's kind of funny, but it's true. Three is the coach. Of course, the cheerleader, the discipline, and so on and so forth. They can really see farther or more in them than they can see in themselves. But today is going to really help with that confidant ability. Because today we're going to talk about rules. Doesn't everyone love rules? Maybe, maybe not. And we know Islam has lots of rules. Well, alhamdulillah. And it's for our benefit, ultimately. So this is really going to help you out because it helps us really find out about the rules that helps us feel good about something. Because the reality is a person can be winning and feel as though they're losing based upon their rules. All right, they could be winning and feeling as though they're losing based upon the rules they construct for themselves. So again, it's important for us right now because our children are developing rules right now. And it's pretty easy to see what their rules are and to take advantage of them as they're young and they're growing up. I mean, for them, if we want to make them feel good, if you will, though, you can't really make someone else feel good, but you can apply one of their rules and they'll make themselves feel good. So if I give maybe a son or daughter a lollipop, a sucker or a popsicle or some popcorn or a toy or some candy or something, oh, they get happy, they smile, they eat it, well, they feel good. So when the rules is, hey, once I get something like this, I'll feel good. Okay? They're developing their rules now. But what we must understand is the development of rules, the creation of them, the changing of them, and if they're empowering or if they're disempowering. If there's something we need to keep with us for life or change them, or there's something we need to shed, period. Okay? So let's talk about really constructing some goals. Now, let me ask you a question. What does it take for you to feel good? Think about it. What would have to happen for you to feel good? Would someone have to hug you, kiss you, a loved one or a child comes and hugs you and kisses you and tell you that they love you? All right? Is it that you have to run 5 miles a day? You have to, be fit and do a number of, what has to happen in order for you to feel good? Think about that. Just think about it for a few seconds. Ask yourself, what does it take for me to feel good? Because it could be a number of different things, right? But ask yourself, because the truth is, nothing has to happen in order for you to feel good, right? Isn't it a choice? You can choose to feel good right now for no reason, period. For example, if someone hugs you, kisses you, tells you that they love you, give you a popsicle or a lollipop, all it is you had a rule that said, when someone tells me that they love me, or I get a hug or a kiss or something like that, hey, then I'll choose to feel good. See, that's a rule, and that's what we want to talk about because we decide to feel good at that moment. And once we decide to feel good at that moment, we send signals to our brain that puts changes in our muscles, breathing, biochemistry, our nervous system relaxes, and then we feel good. Alhamdulillah. Now, we must recognize the power that we have, that Allah Ta'ala has given us to control this. Because subhanAllah, once we know the power that we have, then we can change rules at any given time. For example, when a person accepts or embraces al-Islam, well, they've changed rules. Now they say, hey, my deen or my religion says I must do it this way. When it comes time to offer salat, you just can't go and start, performing prayer. There are some rules and regulations before prayer, right? We have to perform wudu. We have to make sure we have wudu. So you can't just go and perform, prayer without wudu. You can make dua, but there are some rules, and we must follow the rules. We value those. Again, as we talked about values, which are things we place importance on. Even though it seems small, they're huge. When it comes time for Hajj and the different types of Hajj you can perform, all right, there are certain rules for every single thing. So not only do we have it in our ibadah to keep us on track, we have it in our personal lives for other things to control our emotional states. So another example would be whether or not you feel like you're achieving your values is totally dependent on your rules. Whether or not you feel like you're achieving your values, the things that you hold near and dear and feel are important, depends on your rules. Give you an example. I was talking to a gentleman, very successful in business by many people's standards, but he's one individual. So we don't judge his standards by many other people's standards, because many other people do not live his life, just like no one else is living yours. Well, alhamdulillah, out of 7 or so billion people on the planet, you are distinctly you. Your ruh is in that body for you. Now, with that being said, there are some questions. And if I were to ask you, about being successful, and I asked him, I said, what would you feel you have to be in order to be successful? What would have to happen? And he said, he thought for a moment, and I was in his office and we were talking, and he was already, again, successful by many people's standards. So he said, he has to have $5 million cash in the bank, have a number of different homes in a couple different countries, and be able to, I think it was about 3 or 4 different cars, or travel at any given moment, and so on and so forth, and have great health. Then he would feel successful. Let me ask you a question. How happy do you think he was? He didn't have those things. Now he'd already earned millions of dollars. He already had luxury toys and the opportunity to travel pretty much anywhere he wanted to at the drop of a dime, if you will. But because he didn't have these specific things that he set as part of his rules, he didn't feel successful. Interesting, isn't it? Now, someone else on the flip side can say, hey, what would it be for you to feel successful? What would it take for you to feel successful? What would have to happen? And I remember a brother said, I just have to wake up and say, alhamdulillah, now I'm successful. And I remember years ago when I was driving, I drove a taxi cab. I had a number of different blue-collar jobs years ago. And I had picked up a young lady in the cab, or an older woman in the cab, and she had come out of a wealthy area in the city, big fur coat on, diamonds and just glistening, all kinds of stuff. And then she wanted to go into a more poor area of the city. And she wasn't feeling good. I think she's probably intoxicated. And she was stating how, she has all these things. She works out this many times a day, and she has this husband and a child and all of these toys, and she's sick of, and it's very interesting because she specifically mentioned that she's sick of the fake relationships and the false relationships and the Christmas holiday stuff and people coming over and, just the jibber jabber stuff. She was really complaining about that. And she said she's going to her sister's house that was in the hood. All right, it's in a poor section of town. But she said her sister has a lot more love and realness to her. That's why she's going over there. But from the outside looking in, people will try to look into this woman's life wishing they had the things that she had. But what she did not have was emotional stability and some security. She was not in a good state of mind. She wasn't in a good state emotionally. Though she had all these other things, she wasn't allowing herself to win. So it's very important that the rules we set up are set up for us to be empowered as opposed to being disempowered. Now, rules, basically, they're really a shortcut for our brains. All right, will you imagine if someone smiled at you and then you had to just sit there, evaluate, engage, and strain to try to find out and understand what that meant? But since you already have rules in place, meaning if someone smiles at you, maybe they're happy, maybe they're being funny, you did something funny, or maybe they like you, maybe they're trying to get sadaqah because a sadaqah, a smile from brother is sadaqah. So it could be a number of these different things, right? But you already have rules in place, so now you could make that decision in an instant. So they're really a shortcut for our brains, and it triggers, you know, what to do, what not to do in many different situations. So, alhamdulillah. Now, the challenge comes here. Most people have rules. Of course, basically we all have rules, and children are developing their rules. But here's the challenge. Most people have rules that are very difficult to make them feel good. There are so many things that have to happen first in order for them to feel good. But they have so many different rules that are so easy to make them feel bad. Again, we are in total control of these rules. So, for example, we get up, we say, Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa Allahu Akbar. So we already started on the proper foot, right? And we know that the shaitan ties 3 knots on the back of your neck when you go to sleep. And we know how to break these as we awaken, correct? Yeah, well, alhamdulillah. You know, it's the dhikr, the remembrance of Allah Ta'ala. We perform wudu, we offer salah. So now we can feel successful should we choose to, right? We have a secret from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whom relayed through his messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam, to us on how to combat the shaitan. How to already be prepared before we go to sleep to protect us from shaitan while we sleep into the morning. We have Ayatul Kursi, right? We have the short surahs at the end of Quran, Al-Falaq and An-Nas. We have these secrets to help protect us that we can be grateful for without anything else occurring. So keep that in mind, because we're going to go through some rules exercises, inshallah, as soon as we come back from break in a moment. So be prepared, and inshallah ta'ala, I will see you right after this break, or you'll see me after the break. All right, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, how I love you, Mom and Dad. A time to please Allah, a chance to gain reward. I will spend on you, he says, on all who spend in good cause.
It's welcome again from me, from your host Ismail Bullock, and from your host
Gabriel Romani. The parents have to encourage their kids to get married, and at the same time, support them. Yeah.
What many people don't understand is that seeking knowledge in itself is ibadah. And Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu says, لأن أطلب العلم ساعة أحب إلي من ألف ركعة. That I seek knowledge for an hour is better and more beloved than ألف ركعة, which means 1,000 rak'ah.
The real meaning of La ilaha illallah is not there's no God but God. La ma'bud bihaqqin illallah. That is, if you want to note it down, that is the real meaning of La ilaha illallah. There is none worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I remember as a Christian, when I was a Christian before, they have this whole issue of your cross, you have to wear your cross, this will protect you, and if it breaks, something wrong will happen to you, and the icons, and put an icon in your wallet.
Oh, how I love you, Mom and Dad.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. Glad to see you stuck in there with us. Alhamdulillah, I talked about doing some exercises as soon as we got back, because we have to be as resourceful as possible. And alhamdulillah, there are some rules, and as I look at Islam, and I look at the number of different things that occur, like when we are told, when we think something good happens, we say alhamdulillah. And if we perceive something as being bad, we say alhamdulillah. Either way, we are giving praise and honor and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That allows us to be in a resourceful state, a good state. So whether something good or bad happens, we say alhamdulillah. Think about this. You wake up in the morning. Is there a difference in feeling between the person who wakes up, says, well, alhamdulillah, and the person who wakes up like, whew, here we go again, I'm tired, my energy I'm drained, but it is what it is. Let me get ready, perform wudu. There's a big difference. Even if the first person wakes up and says alhamdulillah, but they're still not feeling good. I woke up this morning and my sinuses were acting up, and I wasn't feeling in the best of spirits. I felt a little groggy, sleeping in a different place and stuff like that, but alhamdulillah, I woke up, was here to get some things done, was prepared, and alhamdulillah, that's it. There are many people that didn't wake up today. There are many people that can't wake up. They may be in a coma, may be injured. So alhamdulillah for the good, alhamdulillah for what I perceive as bad. And I say perceive as bad because we don't even know the end result of something. SubhanAllah, think about this. When we think of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, do we think that him being sold into slavery and being betrayed by his brother, do you think if he looked at that as a bad thing and harped over and complained about it, that was the right thing to do? No, of course not. Of course not. We have the beauty of being told the story in its totality in Surah Yusuf. We see the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in him removing him from that environment and raising him in status. And we see all of that, but we don't know Allah ta'ala's plans. Allah is the best of planners. So we could look at something like that, the enslavement of Yusuf and what happened to him in the betrayal as something that was bad. In and of itself, separated from anything else, we can see the type of behavior and that the behavior was bad, but ultimately that was actually a good thing. That was part of the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also think about that when we look in the history of Islam with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you look at what happened with the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, Muslims were upset. They saw it as a compromise. We want to go to Hajj this year. We're ready. What's going on? They did not want to go through with it until the Prophet said, this is wahi. That was it. Well, alhamdulillah, we hear and we obey. Still, Muslims, they were shaking. They were shaky. They didn't want to go with it. It didn't seem like a success to them. But ultimately, well, alhamdulillah, it was. SubhanAllah, Allah Ta'ala is the best of planners. So we say alhamdulillah for what we see and know is good and what we even perceive as bad. That keeps us in a resourceful state. That is a rule for us as Muslims given to us by Allah Ta'ala and His Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. Remember that. That is a rule. Something happens, well, alhamdulillah. What do we say? We hear news of death. Alhamdulillah, inna lillahi wa inna alayhi raji'un. Alhamdulillah. From Allah we come, and to Him is our return. But it starts with alhamdulillah. That is a resourceful state. That is for us to have this rule in remembrance of Allah Ta'ala in any and everything that we do. So remember that. When you wake up, it's alhamdulillah. That keeps us resourceful and dependent on the one who is dependent on nothing. The one who is independent of all things, Allah Ta'ala. Now, we must create rules that empower us instead of disempower us. Now, a rule for confidence, for example. Some people's rules are, you know what, for confidence, I have to have done something for a long time and become good at it, then I'll be confident. Well, that's not my rule, for example. If that was my rule, I wouldn't be really successful at half the things that I've done in life. My thing is, if I approach something with confidence, knowing that it's okay to be ignorant at first, as long as it's my goal to be intelligent over time, then my confidence will help me do good. For example, public speaking. I'm an introvert. Believe that, right? I'm talking to you right now for the camera, but I'm an introvert. I'm someone who is rather kind of keep to himself a little bit and relax. I'm not the guy, the life of the party, if you will. I'm not the life of the iftar, right? It's not me. But I'm speaking to you right now because I had some people believe more in me than I believed in myself. They tricked me getting in front of the room and telling my story and sharing it with other people and watching them and taking notes on how they interacted and how they spoke and invited me to do different speaking engagements. So if you want me to come to your town or your country, well, alhamdulillah, now I don't have a problem. But years ago, I might have been a little nervous or scared. All right. But the confidence, the rule I put for confidence was easy. I could do something with confidence. I could study it. Other people are doing it. Well, guess what? Then my confidence level is up too. Maybe I'll be able to do a good job with the help of Allah Ta'ala. That is easy. That's an empowering rule. So we must make rules that are easy for us to feel good. So we say, well, alhamdulillah, we wake up, we feel good. We love our children, we love our spouses, alhamdulillah, we feel good. We let them know that we feel good. They may feel good as an extra bonus. All right, because that's their rules. And we help them with that, right? They don't need us to tell them, oh, we love you. No, we do it. We recharge ourselves and everything, well, alhamdulillah, but they're not dependent on someone else, particularly because they can't control external events or external people. If we could depend on someone else or some other events happening, oh, we're in for a whole big life of pain and surprise. Because we can't control other events or other people, then we give them power over our emotions. That is totally unnecessary and unacceptable. Why do that? That doesn't make any sense. Why put our emotional state and our happiness and what it takes for us to feel good in the hands of someone else? SubhanAllah. That's a recipe for disaster. So an easy way to make empowering rules is, number one, if the rule has a lot of ways for you to feel good and few ways for you to feel bad, that's an empowering rule. That is empowering, meaning anytime I blank, anytime I get up and am able to get dressed, alhamdulillah, I feel empowered. Anytime I see my children doing good things, alhamdulillah, it's easy to feel good, right? Anytime I eat a good meal, what do? We say alhamdulillah after we finish eating. Anytime I smell the food, anytime I see the sun, anytime I see the clouds, anytime I see the ground, and I know I'm above it, I feel good. So anytime usually are very empowering goals. Disempowering is, this has to happen, then this has to happen, then this has to happen, then I'll feel good. I have to have this amount of money in the bank, have to drive this type of car, my children have to become these doctors, then I'll feel good and be a success. Come on. So which of the bounties of our Lord are we going to deny? Right? SubhanAllah. We should be cognizant of much more. As I'm speaking to you, I should be cognizant of much more. Not only speaking to you and sharing these experiences and showing how to empower yourself and your children, but what Allah Ta'ala has already provided for myself and my children, and for what I don't even know is going to happen in the future. Well, alhamdulillah. So when it comes time to travel in a vehicle and being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I feel good. No matter what the external circumstances are, no matter how many bills are due, no matter how I'm feeling physically, or who else is not feeling good, I can choose to feel good, because ultimately it is a choice. We choose how to feel. If I want to feel depressed right now, there's a few things that would have to happen. Pay attention. First, I would have to change my physiology, as you just noted. Punch my shoulders down, look down, my voice goes down, breathing gets shallow. First, I have to get into physiology. I want to be depressed. I'm not going to get depressed. It's not going to happen. All right? I loathe that. That's a painful value to me. So I'm not going in that direction. However, it takes work to get there. You do have to not recognize the bounties of Allah. You do have to be ungrateful. You do have to change your physiology to slump. It's hard to laugh constantly like this, facing down. When you laugh, you look up. It's hard to be very relaxed in this type of position, right? So it's changing your physiology. If you want to feel happy, you want to feel better, well, how would you feel if you just received some incredible news, some incredible, exciting news? How would you stand? Probably stand straighter than I'm standing. Stand straight. If you want to feel good, they say take deep breaths. Well, how do you breathe? You don't do all of that, moving your shoulder and your chest. You want to breathe properly. You want to inhale into your abdomen. And you exhale. Do a number of those. It helps you feel better. It releases the feel better oxytocin hormone. It gets right to your brain immediately. More oxygen to your brain. Helps you think more, gets more blood there. Helps you feel good. And you don't need any special reason to feel good. You're a Muslim. You have Din al-Haq. We have the opportunity to do good deeds. We have opportunity to invite others to do good deeds, and we can be selfish with it. This is what I mean by being selfish. If you do da'wah, you introduce or invite someone to Islam, a relative, or if all your relatives are Muslims, somebody who's not a relative. They accept Islam. You know how we can be selfish? Because half of the good deeds they do, we get the barakah for without them losing anything. So be selfish. Be selfish for good deeds, right? Be selfish in introducing these people to the beauty of Islam for their benefit and for your benefit. Well, alhamdulillah, that's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a choice. And based upon the choice you make is how you feel, the state that you're in. Now, that doesn't mean you're just happy-go-lucky and ignoring everything. No, you choose what to put on something at the proper time. You receive some bad news, it's still, well, alhamdulillah. And you deal with it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he cried numerous times. He would cry on hearing good news or if someone else wasn't feeling good. I remember a time when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, it was relayed that they were crying. They were crying because a decision that came down was not the best decision. But when Umar bin al-Khattab came upon them, who suggested something else, and I believe this was dealing with the capture of prisoners, and Umar bin al-Khattab said they should be executed. And that's when the ayah came down where Allah Ta'ala said it's not befitting for a prophet or messenger to ransom these prisoners. So Umar bin al-Khattab was right saying to execute them, but upon Shura, the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr made a decision, or upon Shura, the decision was made that I believe they would be ransomed off. And neither the decision was not a wrong decision. It's a choice. The Prophet ﷺ had a choice between the better decision and the good decision. But they were crying. You know, Umar bin al-Khattab had come in and seen them crying. He sat down. He didn't know why they were crying, but he sat amongst them. And we have mirror neurons. So if we come across somebody who's depressed or not feeling good, then we become concerned and we begin to actually reflect the same thing they have. So, alhamdulillah, what we want you to do, because there's so much covered in this episode, is go to outstandingmuslimparents.com/rules. outstandingmuslimparents.com/rules. Get the worksheet. Let's go over it. Let's engage. And remember, a wish changes nothing, but a decision changes everything. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll see you again soon. Nazir bin Nasib signing off. Ma'as-salama.
While my world was crumbling down, and you tried your best to shelter me from the coming of the storm, you opened my eyes to see that all hope was not gone. You held me in your arms and wiped away my tears. Not even in a million years can I ever repay you for what you've done for me. You were there when I felt that there was no place for me. You were there to show me how to truly believe in the miracle of creation